Hi, and welcome to Silverbrook Cemetery. Tim Qualls along with Claudia. We're going to be talking today, as we always do, about pre-planning and the unexpected. And that's what it's all about. And special guest today, we got Pam coming over from Nationwide Insurance. She's going to sit and chit-chat with you a little bit on pre-planning and stuff. But before we came on, Claudia, we were talking and just talking about the disasters and the floods,
the events
and,
of
plane
life.
crashes and all that. And we were just talking, not tying it to this, but after we're talking there, I got to thinking about it. I said, that's what we're talking about on this show. I mean, that's exactly, you don't know when it's coming.
No.
If we knew that, we could plan out everything,
Right.
So you
Unexpected
just don't know.
events of life, like we just had the weather event, and we've had a lot of loss.
Yeah.
So, you have to kind of think about that. You have to think about what you don't know.
Right.
You know, I mean, I may know I have an ill relative or a parent or something like that. Those are things I may know, but what about the things we don't know of? The things we don't expect that happen from day to day when you leave your home or wherever. So you have to prepare for the unexpected.
Yeah, and we talk about, parents and things like that, but we got to talk about people like you and me as well. We single, what burden do we want to throw on somebody else,
I'm ready, after the first time that Pam Steinbach came on the show with me, I started thinking about, what about me? And I actually got myself together, got myself a nice little policy, because
it don't take a lot of money.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't take a lot of money to set yourself up real nice. Or put it this way, you want to set your family up real nice so that if something were to happen to me, they don't have that burden. I feel so much better knowing that if something were to happen to me, then everything is going to be okay.
Right.
They can take care of everything.
But there's so many other things that come along with it. I mean, I a year and a half ago, I've been dealing with it, and I'm still, emotionally, and that's enough in itself without having to worry about and thank God my wife worked for at Pam Steinbach's office, Robert Steinbach and Associates office, and she was, we didn't expect anything.
Right.
I never dreamed that, we're still young. We're talking about growing old together, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, now we're talking about, you're going to die, and that, and you just don't know when that's going to come to somebody, and somebody might not even be sick, might leave here like we were talking earlier,
suddenly
get on a plane.
Suddenly.
Get in a car, whatever the case might be. So it's very important to plan ahead. But before we get into planning everything, I want to talk about cemeteries just a little bit, and what I think is a very important part of that planning. You can plan financially, but one of the biggest things that I wish that my wife and I would have done was gone out and just looked at cemeteries. Just is this where we want to be? Is this because you're going to
and there are a variety. There's a nice variety of cemeteries in the entire state. And that's the wise thing to do, because if something were to happen, you don't have that much time to do all that.
No,
you end up rushing to get those types of things
and you let
done
other people make decisions for you.
Because you're in a spot where you have to get this done, and then you end up possibly with things that you didn't want.
Right.
After everything's all said and done. But the wise thing to do is to do some research, explore, get out there, go to some cemeteries, find out about pricing, find out about lot prices, vault prices.
And what you can do and what you can't do at particular cemeteries.
Because it does make a difference.
Hours at cemeteries and stuff like this. I mean, it's mind-boggling, because you don't think about it. That's the last thing we want to think about, is that. And I'm telling young couples even, it's something you want to think about now.
Absolutely.
You really, because if you can plan that together, it would have been so much easier on me making some of the decisions that I had to make. Is this what she wanted? And things like that. And that's a big burden, because you're in that lost state anyways. So now you got somebody, and we talk about it going to funeral homes, because that's where everything seems to filter to on a situation like that. And now you got somebody else that's really telling you, well, do this and do that. Not to say that they guide you the wrong way. They try to help as much as they can as well. But if you pre-plan everything, it's so much easier.
It's so much easier. You have time to grieve.
Right.
And there's no, it's a big job. you know, there's a lot to do
Oh,
because
and I'm still doing it. A year and a half later,
yeah,
I'm still
it's
doing
not
it.
over
Yeah.
when it's over. I
Right.
mean, you still have to settle someone's final
Estates and
different
yeah,
things
yeah.
when they're going. So when you plan and you pre-plan and you get your funeral things done, you get your burial things done, that takes a lot of the weight off, and
Right.
it gives you time to think about the other things in life that you have to think about once you lose someone. So a lot of research into it. You don't always have to buy into anything yet. If you can't, the smart thing to do is to at least know.
That's why I was going to say
Educate yourself
knowing.
on what it is, because you know I work in a cemetery and I see that you know our interments aren't always by way of a long illness. There's sudden death. There's all age groups. It's whenever.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So the key is, as I felt is for me, is to get myself or my family as prepared for it, because I don't know.
And that's the important part is taking that burden off everybody else. You know, not that it was a burden to me, because one of the nice things, like I said, my wife was in the insurance business, so she did plan the financial side of it a little bit. So you know, so I didn't have to worry about that. But the choices that you have to make, you know, especially when it comes to burial site. Okay, and that's what I'm telling people. I wish I could have taken my wife around and said, hey, you know, here's a night, you know, and looked at different areas. Silverbrook's one of the oldest cemeteries in the area.
Yes, it is.
Got different areas for you. I mean, depending on what you want. I mean, it's one of the nicer ones that I know of as far as having everything that you want. A tree area, you know, you've got that.
We got hundreds of trees,
Yeah.
but we have the traditional cemetery, but we also have a memorial park. You know, we have mausoleums, we have crypts, we have niches. You know, we have an area that's just for cremains.
Right.
You know, we have a Greek section, a Muslim section. So it's a large place. It's a very, very large, beautiful cemetery. And it takes time to do a tour and talk about it, and then talk about, you know, your choices in stones or markers, granite or bronze, and then you know, when you go over to the mausoleums, there's even more. So when people leave, they're like, their head's full. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that there was this much to consider. I didn't know I had this much choice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choice.
Right.
That takes a good hour and a half to get someone through everything.
Yeah. And then financing, you know, and that's the important part, and that's why, you know, it was important that we brought Pam back, because you know, we talk about making plans and everything else. Not hard to do with getting with you guys and saying this. Okay, this is where I want to be. But now when it comes time, we've got to pay for this. And the sad thing about it is you guys can't finance.
No.
You
don't finance burials.
Right. You
No.
can't finance it, and so comes that time, you got to pay it. You got to pay it right then and there.
And you have to pay it at least 48 hours before the interment. Everything has to be ready to go financially. Everything has to be squared away and done.
Right. And then when you're talking about that, I just want to give you an idea of some of the costs that you're looking at before we bring Pam out here, because that's it. You know, when you're talking about insurance, there's a couple different ways, and Pam's probably going to get mad at me as I discuss it, but I'm not an agent, so I can discuss it any which way I want. Yeah. But when it comes to the insurance, a couple different ways. If you're young enough, there's plans out there that you can put into where you're building that retirement fund as well. So, you know, not only are you've got what you need in case an emergency happening, but you building for your future as well. And then as you get my age, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, do I need that type of plan, you know, for the future right now? Term life. Term life is completely different, not that costly. I mean, you know, depends on your age and everything. Pam can probably better explain it. But that's something that you're not building any cash value into the plan. But if it comes time and something happens, when you got that money, you've got that money. And a cheaper way to go than building for the future. I know today, economy is as tough as it is and everything else, and people are thinking about the future. So a great way to start adding that, especially if you're a young couple. Nothing better than, you know, if you have a child. I tell people all the time, if you got a kid, low cost, you're investing in that. You know, come time for, if you do it now, and say the kid's, you know, 2-3 years old, come time for college years, you got some money there. You got some
Absolutely.
money, and you
Yep.
can revert that over to,
Right.
you know, so there's some different things, and Pam will be better off explaining that. But cost-wise, when it comes to the cemetery, is I want people to understand there's a cost for vaults, because you can't be buried without a vault.
No, it is a state law.
Right.
Delaware state law, you have to have a vault, and they can go anywhere from $850 up into a few $1,000s. Just depends on what model you want, what type you want. Our graves go for $1,300 a piece today.
Right. And that goes up on a regular basis. I got to tell people, you know,
It does. It
goes
changes.
up.
It does
Oh, I
change.
was amazed. I'm
It
glad I
does change.
bought my plots, and I bought mine too,
It does
because
change.
it's already gone
And
up.
it needs, it's necessary to change because of the amount of work that goes into doing this. I mean, you know, it
Somebody's
takes a
gotta take
lot
care
of
of that grave
machinery,
after you're-
it takes a lot of manpower to not only prepare the grave, but it has to be taken care of after everything's all said and done.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have opening and close. Today, Monday through Friday, it's $1,100. On Saturday, it's $1,100 plus another $300. So it's $1,400 on a Saturday.
Because you're
So-
overtime with the guys and stuff like that. Because the people don't realize those same guys that are doing all that other work, they're out there trimming around the headstones, mowing the grass.
Every day.
Every, you know,
Every day.
And they kind of work it by section, so
Every
they got
day.
to keep up with it.
When it's 100 degrees, they're outside doing it. When it's below freezing, they're outside doing it through the snow and the ice. It's still work that has to be done to maintain the cemetery. So the prices will never go down. They're going to continue to go up.
Yeah,
and then the
that-
price for materials for
Right.
us to do the work.
Right,
You know,
right. And it's constant change, just like we just said with the vault, that's going to go up, you know that. But you can today come in, I can come in today and get that handled.
you can pre-plan and buy into today's prices. You can come in and you can pick out your graves. You can start paying on your
Well, that's
your
what I was
graves
going to say.
and your.
Now you're talking about you can't finance, but you can finance if you pre-plan it.
If
you know,
pre-plan.
you know,
At need means I need to inter someone now. We don't finance those burials. You can plan ahead and finance.
and be paying for it as you go.
You can finance your headstone, your marker, your grave, and your vault.
Get it all out of the way. And you
Can't
do it all-
finance
and
open
you
and
can do it
close,
all.
but-
You don't have to go to the cemetery. I mean, the funeral home to do that. You
No.
can do that on your own. We've talked about that in
There's
other
no
shows.
order.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no order. You can come right to the cemetery first and take care of your business, and then go to the funeral home and take care of business.
Right.
Even though we work together to see it happen, we're still separate in a lot of ways. But there's no order of things. There's no go to funeral home first, cemetery.
Another thing you can do is
And we're
plan-
different.
If you're planning
different.
ahead, another thing you can do is you can pick your pricing too, because that's you know you can shop. You ain't got time to shop
Right.
when it happens
Right.
to you, but you can shop right now. But let's get back to planning ahead for financial and everything, because we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to get Pam out here and let you chit chat with her, because I think it's people. I can't stress it enough. The most important thing that you can have is that agent coming to you and handing you a check to take some of that burden off, because that's very
It's a big
important.
relief.
And there's low cost ways to do it. There's ways, like I said, that you can do it and build some financial gain for the future if you want to do it that way. If you're young, especially a young couple starting out, Pam can better explain all that. So we'll be right back right here. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Silverbrook Cemetery. I'm Claudia Parker, and with me I have my special guest today, Pam Steinbach from Nationwide Insurance. She's with us for the second time because it's so important for us to get our point across when it comes to insurances, and we're talking about burial, pre-planning, and things like that. So of course that fits right in. So I guess to just start off, I guess the big question, the major question is, what type of insurance is best for someone like myself, just a couple weeks ago, who was shopping around for insurances just in case something unexpected happens?
Sure. Well, I'd be happy to talk about that. We have a variety of, there's a whole bunch of different types of insurances, but in terms of pre-planning burial expenses, something like a permanent type of insurance would be the most obvious. That is going to last your entire lifetime. We have plans where you only pay for a certain amount of years, but it still lasts your lifetime. And they are very affordable. Not only do we have, with the permanent insurance, we also have a permanent type of insurance that you do not need to do any medical underwriting. So if you have diabetes, or if you've had a heart attack, or even cancer, you can get a policy that will help you with final expenses.
So does it matter? Is age a factor? Is that a factor?
Well, there is a maximum age, and that is for our policies that we sell. It's 80, so you can get a policy up till you're 80 years old, and from being born, from a newborn to your 80. So there's a wide variety, different types of insurance.
So the best type of insurance for someone who wanted to be prepared, to pre-plan,
Yes.
the best type of insurance policy to get, which would, of course, if something were to happen, if I were to die,
Yes.
then my family could just get this policy or get this check like right away.
Exactly. It's normally within 5 business days, and it's now with technology you can even get it direct deposited into your account. It's very fast. So the permanent insurance is ideal for final expenses. But then you can also get there's also term insurance as well for a set amount of years. You can have a large face amount of insurance, say 100,000, 250,000, 500, a million, for a very low cost. And what I tell people is that if you don't have any insurance, let's at least get you a small permanent policy, and then you can always buy more. So if you get set up, you can have something, for depending on your age, for as low as like $20 a month, and you can get something at least that will help you with your final expenses.
And then also, you can also take out insurances on other people.
Absolutely.
Other people. That was a question I had.
Yes, that is a question.
Well,
there are a lot of grandparents that get policies for their grandchildren, not only for final expenses, but also to help if they have to take out a loan in the future. You can borrow against the policy. But yes, we have policies that you can take out as long as you have an interest in that person. Then you can take out a life insurance policy. There's business policies and stuff as well for that.
Because the big picture with all this is the fact that when you pre-plan, you want to make sure if something were to happen, then you'd have this money directly deposited in your account or get a check, and that you won't have these worries. And that's the bottom line, is to make sure that if something were to happen, that you're covered financially and you can be covered quickly.
Exactly.
So, and that's all part of, it's not just about, what I'm going to get, it's how I'm going to be able to get this thing. And
yes, I mean, ultimately, we can talk about the types of policies and how much it is and all, but what comes down to is the peace of mind. The peace of mind for the person that we're insuring, the peace of mind for their loved ones. That's what life insurance is all about. I mean, you can always get into the specifics of how much you can afford, how much face amount, but ultimately you're protecting your peace of mind.
And then to keep in mind that when we're talking about insurances, is that most funeral homes that I know of do work with insurances. However, I'll speak for Silverbrook, we do not.
Yes.
So, to have that money on hand to, be available to not only cover the funeral, of course, but to make sure that you cover the burial, because we don't work with insurances.
Absolutely.
We don't. And as we were talking earlier in the show, the prices are changing. They're going up all the time. So.
Yeah, I mean, to have that peace of mind of not having to worry about where you're going to come up with this money in order to put your loved one to rest. I have given and given out the benefits, you know, for the life insurance policies, and I can't tell you how many times the loved ones break down and cry, not because, I mean, obviously they're sad because of their loved one passing, but the fact that they don't have to worry about the money. It's hard enough having to deal with the emotional side of it, but having to not deal with the financial side.
And there definitely is a relief.
Yes.
You know, I see that. I can see the difference when our customers, when they come in and they have that, they have that money to be able to take care of everything. I can see that relief.
Yes.
There's not the same built-up stressors of how on earth am I going to do this? You
Exactly.
know? And even though the bottom line, eventually it does get taken care of, but it's such a huge burden. It's a lot of stress at the time that's already traumatic and stressful. And then on top of that, now you have to worry about, okay, everything's over, but I'm still responsible financially for a lot of things.
Very true. And I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it's this arduous process of, you know, getting a life insurance policy, and I don't want to talk about it. And, you know, it really is, it's very, most of the time it's extremely simple. The medical stuff, a lot of policies don't even need any medical testing. You talk about it with me or whoever, you know, for, you know, a half hour, and then you're done. Then you have that peace of mind that at least that you have something in place.
And see, that's why I'm really glad that I went through the process with you that I did, because now I can talk about it on the show, that I personally did it, you know, for myself. It was very simple. The questions were simple. It took about 30 minutes, if that, to go through the process and get it done, and it's all done. And now I feel better because I have it. And now it's like, you know, my family will have something to go for if something were to happen to me, God forbid. But it's done, and the process was simple.
Yes,
the process was simple.
You know, it's a little stressful maybe when you're talking about it right there. But as you said, it's, you know, a half hour, 20 minutes, a half hour, and then you have that peace of mind where you don't have to worry
That's
anymore.
right. Peace of mind is key. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break.
Hi, and welcome back here. It's time for us to start wrapping things up. I just want to go over it one more time so people can understand. The best thing to do is plan. I can't stress that enough. I want to thank Pam Steinbach. You can always get a hold of Pam. She you know, and the staff over at Robert Steinbach's office. There are enough people there that can help you and guide you in the right way as far as that financial security. And like she said, I mean, term life policies as low as, you know, $20. You know, and that's going to give you more than enough money.
Oh, absolutely. I went through the process. You know, I mentioned the fact that I went through it with Pam for myself. It was a very simple process. It's very affordable. I feel good about it. I feel great.
Well, and that's it. And then if you're a young couple and you want to build that, you know, because like I said, there's a couple different, and they're better explaining it than I am, but there's different plans. I've got one that I invest into, and I pay a little bit more than I would for a term, but that money goes into investments and stocks and stuff like that, and that builds up for you, so you can have that as you get older. So the different ways, but the main thing, folks, and I stress this over and over and over and over again, is you don't expect it.
No.
You don't expect it when it happens. It just happens. And the best thing that you can do is plan ahead. And the most important thing you do is get with Claudia. I mean, I met a lot of people in the funeral business and things when I went through this. And you were so helpful because of your background. You know, let's talk about Claudia a little bit, because you haven't been in the funeral business that long. I mean,
no,
you know.
this is it's going on 3 years for me. I was a social worker for many years, so I still had played a small part in the death and dying thing I did.
Right.
But it's the compassion that I have for working with people who are who are experiencing a traumatic event. So that's been pretty much my whole career.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've done that your whole life. I mean, and that's what's very helpful, especially if you didn't plan and it's a sudden thing. Get a hold of Claudia. She can help you, walk you through the process of what that is, as well, what funeral home to look at and everything else.
And another thing that I really want to stress is it's about, trying to educate families and individuals to come in and pre-plan and talk about this, but I really believe in what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing,
Very
and when I
passionate.
talk about it, because I experienced it myself,
And you
I
see it
know
every
how
day.
and I see it every day, and I know how important that it is, and I know that times are changing, that our business is not slowing down, it's picking up.
Right, more
It's
people,
picking
more,
up.
more deaths, so it's all there. Population
is.
grows, so does deaths. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. You can get a hold of Claudia calling the number of Silverbrook, and of course, if you want to talk with Pam, you can call Robert Steinbach Agency, 328-1212 is that number. Until next time, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Claudia. Thank you, Pam, for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.